Hey guys, Dirt here, and today we are going to be taking a look at the Diamond Select Toys Star Trek Original Series Mr. Spock figure. Now this came out last fall, but I haven't had a chance to open it and take a look at it yet, so I figured, hey, let's do a video on it and take a look today. So let's jump into the photo tent over here and take a look. Now you can see the package is basically what you expect from a Diamond Select toy. If you've bought any of the Marvel figures, they always have the giant blister, and then they've got this little piece of cardboard on the side. Gives you a picture of the character, the names, obviously, all of that type of stuff you would expect on the package. On the back you have the biography, and then you've got telling you about the feature that he's got interchangeable parts. You can see the heads are different, the hands are different, the bottom of the body is different, so that way you know that you can play around with him and change him around. It even says here on the package that this select figure of Spock includes interchangeable head, hands, and legs in order to recreate multiple scenes. So there you go. That's why when you look at the front there, you can see that there's multiple pieces to it so that you can move it around and repose it. So let's go ahead and open the package and let's take a look at the figure inside. Let's start here with the base, and you can see that we've got basically the base piece or the diorama piece, whatever you want to call it, for this scene with the figure. And one of the things that you'll notice is in the original episode there was a rocky wall behind it, and here they've just put a section of it so you can get an idea of the wall being there, but quite frankly it looks like an ocean wave. Like I'm waiting for Ocean Spray cranberry drink logo to pop up or something. Having this curve here, the creature actually tunnels through the rock walls, but here it just kind of looks like the opening of Hawaii Five-0 or something. I understand what they were trying to do, and I know they didn't want to just put a giant block wall behind it, but this does look a little bit silly. You do have the creature down here. This is the creature that Spock interacts with, the thing that they are, I don't know, trying to talk to and communicate with. And you can see here on the back, there is a little piece here that actually pops off. So you can see the brain piece exposed, whatever that, I don't know anatomically what that's supposed to be. The piece that fits on top is actually molded with the shape on the inside being the same as that shape on the piece there. So if you look real close, you can see that there is some texture to it that's actually carved out, and that carving is actually reflected in this cover piece. So when you put it on, it fits, let's see if you line it up right, it fits rather snug, and it holds on pretty tight. And even though the line isn't connected here, you can see that there are other parts where they've done a similar thing where the lines don't always quite look as solid and nice, so it doesn't really stand out a whole lot that is a removable piece, even though obviously it is. So overall, it's an interesting diorama piece, and it definitely is the scene from the show, but overall I kind of wish they'd done something different with the back other than what looks like this giant rolling ocean wave. Okay, here is the main Spock figure. This is the Diamond Select version of Spock. His hand is holding the phaser, and that is actually carved in. That is part of the actual design of the hand. That is not removable, which is a little bit of a shame, but you know, oh well, what are you going to do? The arm has some articulation here. The shoulder moves up and down. It twists up the top. The elbow, you can see that there's a joint there, but it is very stiff. Yeah, okay. The elbow has a joint, but because of the way it's painted over, you can't move it. It is locked into position, even though obviously it is cut and put together to be a joint. The hand here swivels, all the way around. So at least you do have some options. I guess if you want to make him be like gangsta, you can have him shooting the phaser that way. But overall, not a whole lot you can do there. This arm, the elbow actually does move. It has a nice kind of popping, locking to it. It's not going to be breakdancing or anything, obviously, but it will hold its place right there, so that is pretty nice. Again, same twist, same shoulder that we saw on the other side. Although, if you look close here, you can see we've got some paint blob on there. Some of the gold paint from the fringe has gotten onto the sleeve there, so just sloppy, just poor craftsmanship as far as that goes. Otherwise, the chest is just the one solid piece on the shirt, and the legs have some twist here in the shins, so you can at least twist the feet a little bit, but otherwise there's nothing in the legs. They don't move. You can twist the waist, and of course it'll pop off. We'll show that in a minute. You can put the other set of legs on it, and the head. Here's one problem with the head. If you look at the actual sculpt of the face, it looks alright. That, you know, pretty much looks like Spock, and if you didn't tell me who the character was, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's Spock, look at that. But the paint application on the eyes is a little funky. Looks like, I don't know, like he's been stabbed in the eye or something over here. He's starting to go blind. The black paint and maybe the brown accents that are in that eye didn't quite make it on here. And you can see the iris in the eye, so that was painted on, but the rest of the color didn't make it. So at first, it kind of looks like his eye is, you know, rolling up into the back of his head, but then you notice that there's the iris on there. So instead, this is just really freaking creepy. If you look at it from the side here, yeah, that looks pretty good. That's Spock. You look at it from this side, it's, oh my god, what is wrong with him? And again, we've got some black paint made it onto the ears here, and some black paint that has rubbed onto his cheek. I don't know how well the camera is picking that up, but you know, from here, you could say, hey, that looks okay. That's not too terrible looking figure. From here, there are some major problems. And it's kind of sad because, I mean, as you can see, they put all the ripples in his shirt. The fabric has some nice, you know, texture to it where they put in all the folds and everything. You can even see they carved the line in here where the two pieces of cloth were actually sewed together. So generally speaking, it's the look of it, the quality of the actual sculpt is pretty good. Even the phaser, you know, for the most part looks okay. You know, there aren't any real major problems with the look of the sculpt, but the articulation, which, I mean, it's a Marvel Select, or Diamond Select, excuse me, so you do get that sometimes, but as far as the paint applications, this is probably one of the worst I've seen as far as the quality of the paint actually being applied to the figure. So that is pretty disappointing as far as that goes. Here is the other set of legs that come with the figure. Again, these have twist in the shin, but nothing else. They are carved to be exactly what they are, and they have the peg holes in the bottom. And you can see regular Spock also has the peg holes. And the idea is you take the diorama and you can put the foot in there to pose him in a number of different ways. And with the way the feet are, there are, you know, there are some pegs up here and there's some pegs back here, so you have a couple different ways that you can pose him if you want him standing, if you want him kneeling, and it doesn't have any sort of like instruction of how exactly you're supposed to do it, so you just kind of play around with it and you find something that works for you, that you think looks the best, and just, you know, work it out that way. As you can see, there is that kind of ball in there, and you're just supposed to pull it apart and pop it on the other side, and now you've got him posed in a different way. And this is their way of getting around the articulation. Instead of having a big cut in the knee with some sort of pin going through it to make it bend, this way it actually looks molded differently. They've done the folds and the cloth differently on there, so it looks on display. The idea is it looks better because you aren't looking at those articulated bits getting in the way, although you still have it in the arms and everything like that. So it's not a perfect system, but that's just the way that they do things. That's the way they like it, and so there it is for that figure. Now we do have another head and some hands, some other accessories, so we'll crack those out and take a look at those too. Now, one thing Spock does in the episode, I think it's called, what is it called? Devil in the Dark is the name of this one. If I can pull his head off, I can't pull the head off. It comes with a second head from when he's doing the Vulcan mind meld, and the second head is supposed to pop in there so you can change his expression, but oh my gosh. Okay. We finally got that head out, and if you want to take a look at the two heads side by side here, let me pull them up. As you can see, it is basically it looks like the same sculptor. The base of the face does look the same, and then they change the expression on it. It's a little creepy to have the two heads here. One thing I will say, though, the paint application on the secondary head is a lot better than the one on the main head. Even though I don't really like this expression necessarily, you don't have the problems with the eyes. The eyes actually are painted on correctly. You don't have the same problem with the paint on the ears. So overall, I'd say that this head actually has a better, quality control to it than this head. But I think this head is the expression that, I prefer, that I'd rather have it on display with. So kind of a catch-22 there as far as that goes. But you can take the head. Here's our headless Spock. Oh my gosh, what happened to my head? Yeah, it's right here. And we can push really, really hard. Get it back in there. So now you can have kind of mad grunting Spock if you want to have that angry face on there. And then, of course, we can pop off the hands. Much easier to pop off than the head. And we'll pop those new hands in. And these hands are for when he's doing the mind meld. Here. Alright. So now, or he's doing the fireball. Hey, you can... Alright, so he can have the hands out. You can put him down on the display. Peg in his feet here as best you can. And then you can have the hands reaching out for doing the mind meld. Although he can't actually touch it. The hands don't quite reach down. He can't really get that close. It's more like he's kind of warming his hands at the campfire. And I'm pretty sure in the episode he actually touched him. I'm looking on the box here. Yeah, and the box doesn't show it actually making contact either. So maybe that is how it's supposed to be. It's been a while since I've seen the episode. But there you can go. You've got the kind of mean face, the scary face, the mad face, the crazy face, and then the flat hands, which are different. The other one is just kind of a kind of relaxed grip type hand, and then of course the other one with the phaser actually sculpted in. As far as, their hands, they look like hands. They do the job they're supposed to, so can't really say much about those. Now, we do have these other accessories here. We have two tricorders, one open and one closed. And, of course, they are both held in place with these crazy ties. Now, there were ties holding the Spock figures in place, but these are kind of buried back here. It's harder to see exactly how you're supposed to twist and untwist. I just kind of pull at them until they get kind of loose enough that I can just kind of I hate these things. I wish toy manufacturers would stop using these. If use a little piece of clear tape. A little piece of clear tape is just fine instead of messing around with these stupid things. Alright, now let's take a look at this tricorder. First of all, this is obviously the closed tricorder. It's more or less just a big lump of plastic, not a lot to it, and it looks like there's some sort of defect on the side of this one. That's nice, where it was probably from the mold injected the plastic in, and then it's supposed to be cut, and of course it didn't cut very smoothly. Looks like it was molded in black, and then they just painted on some silver accents, and for the most part it gets the job done. I mean, you look at it and you can tell that that's supposed to be a tricorder, but it's not really an exciting looking accessory, and you know, obviously it doesn't actually move, because then we've got this other one in here we just have to fight with, and no, I'm twisting it. I gotta untwist it. Alright, so there's that. Alright, and stupid. Alright, now this tricorder you can see is popped open. They took what appears to be the exact same sculpt and then added the open door flap and carved out the little mechanics on the inside. So if you want to have Spock, you know, doing his thing, that's what that's for. So let me grab the Spock figure that I dropped here a second ago. And let's see, let's put a tricorder on him, because when they use it, it's got to be hanging around like this. Can he... His hands, of course, these hands can't do anything with it at all. Let me grab this other hand and put it on here. And once he's got this hand, can it grab it? Can it really... kind of? If he was taking a reading, I want to just know if it can be posed right to make it look like he's actually holding it, taking a reading. I guess that would kind of work. Obviously you'd want the other legs on, and he probably wouldn't have his screaming face. Where's the legs? Here's the legs. So you can have him like that with the tricorder open, that he's, you know, supposedly reading it, whatever. And it's like, oh my gosh, he doesn't like the readings. Look how pissed off he is about it. Stupid technology! Why did you update to KitKat? I don't. My apps don't work on KitKat yet. Alright, so then you've got the regular tricorder, which would just kind of hang at his side. So you can throw that on there if you want to just show him, you know, carrying it around. No big deal as far as that goes. So overall, what do we think of this figure? Well, I think our overall recommendation here is going to be that the sculpt actually, in general, looks nice. It's a good likeness of Spock. It's a good, you know, kind of overall scene from the show. If you want to show off this classic scene from the original television series, then you've got the ability to put the pieces together and make what looks like Spock and looks like this, I don't know, zygote creature or whatever the heck his name was. But for the most part, he's very limited in how you can pose him, and that's, you know, kind of by design. They really only want you to pose him in two ways, and even though they put extra articulation in him and give you these extra pieces, you really only have two choices. And as far as the option of having an open tricorder or a closed tricorder, I don't know that that really makes that big of a difference to me. I think if he had just the one tricorder, I would have been fine with it. I don't think you need this extra one. And this piece that's there to break off doesn't seem to really have much purpose as far as the figure goes. It's just kind of there, so you can display it there or you can display it there. Ooh, that's fascinating. But overall, not that big of a deal. One other thing that you can see is that it's somehow warped and it doesn't sit flat. If you look at the bottom of it, you can kind of see how they carved it weird, carved it with these angles on it, made it lumpy. I'm assuming they made it that way on purpose and not that they just have the worst packaging of all time that makes everything kind of warp out of shape in the package. That seems like a bad marketing gimmick. Buy our toy, it won't stay safe in the package. But the paint applications on this are just sloppy. You know, from the gold being all over the place to the missing eyeball to the paint coming off on the ears. As much as I was, you know, kind of excited that they were doing these Star Trek figures, the way they came out, I really can't get that excited and all that jazzed up for them. Plus, I'm really kind of unsure of figures that come with these extra accessories. Because what are you supposed to do with this stuff? There's no compartment on the back to actually store all of this stuff. I guess if you're going to put this on your shelf and have it on display, you would just kind of pile that stuff back there, and then kind of like the swinging bookcase in the hidden mansion, it would just be kind of hidden behind back there. But for the most part, there's really nothing you can do with that extra stuff. And then you're always going to have some pegs exposed. Depending on what set of feet you have on there, you're going to have stuff kind of sticking up out of the ground for no reason. So on the one hand, it seemed like they took pains to put some extra detail and give you some options, but at the same time, the options aren't really that good, and because of how bad the paint applications are, it's just kind of more annoying as a figure. So I guess overall, when we get to the end of it, it's just not that great of a figure. I was really hoping for a lot more. Now, I do have the Kirk versus Khan set, and I also have the Picard figure. So we'll take a look at those two and see if those stand up maybe a little better. Sometime this week, we'll be cracking those open and doing videos on them too. But I hope they come across a little bit better than the Spock, because I hate to admit it, but I really am kind of disappointed overall. Thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned to PopCultureNetwork.com. We're going to have more toy reviews. We're going to have some comic reviews this week, some more comic previews, and that kind of stuff. So make sure you go to PopCultureNetwork.com. Don't forget, you can always call our 24-hour voicemail line. It's area code 217-953-4025. You can leave feedback about this review, about anything you see on the website, or if you just have general questions and comments, make sure you go there. Also, jointheforums.com, the official forums of the Pop Culture Network, where you can find all of us hanging out, talking about all the great stuff that we love. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.